But anyway, guys, thank you. Thank you for joining me on the Rock Titan podcast. And again, everybody, we've got an awesome podcast for you today. And I know you're going to love it. I know you're absolutely going to love it. And I think we're turning you on to some new music. And while they're not a new band at the same time, I think this is a band that you immediately have to add to your playlist. I am Scotty J, and we are joined by just a couple of the guys in Them Guns. Navarone Garibaldi and
Garcia.
and his drummer Kyle Hamood. Hamood, am I pronouncing that correct?
Got it.
Right on, man. Right on. So, man, your publicist hit me up the other day, and I got a taste of your brand new single that's coming out, Acid Plane, which is it's awesome, and it's funny because right before I started talking to you guys, I played it for my wife, and she's like, "Is that Gavin Rossdale? Like, it sounds like Bush." And I'm like, "Yeah, it does. Like this particular song, it really does."
Wow.
Have you heard that?
Not in terms of the sound of the music, but this one I actually kind of agree does, because I was hanging out with my friend yesterday, and he was like, I'm a closet like diehard Bush fan.
All right, right on.
So we put some on, and it was actually like really good. Their new stuff that they just put out.
Yeah.
But I can hear that. But sometimes when I put on a little bit of eyeliner or a little bit of makeup, I do have the nickname of Gavin, which
Get out.
So
That's funny. Now, Navarone, do you ever go by? Do you have like a short version of that, or does everyone literally just call you Navarone, or do they call you Yo Nav?
I go by Nav.
Nav.
Yeah.
I dig it, man. See, now if I knew I was ever going to be having any more kids, I might actually think of naming one in your honor if it was a boy. You know,
All right.
like just Nav. That's cool. We actually thought about naming one Gavin. You know, because Gav just sounds cool.
Yeah, combine the both make Navin.
McNavin.
Right. But so your newest single, Acid Plane, we were just talking about, absolutely awesome. And I want to get into the backstory of that in a moment. But before we do that, I want to get into your guys' backstory. And, I'm so glad you guys are together, because even though you only started the band, Them Guns, like, well, I guess you guys have been a band for, technically speaking, like 10 years or so now. Is that accurate?
Yeah, 10, 12, something around there. A while.
Yeah.
A good while.
There was a few incarnations of the band that didn't, quite stick, so we don't know when to say it officially formed, but in that time period.
Well, because you guys are a party of three right now, but when you first started out, you guys were four. So you had like a designated keyboardist and then a drummer, but then Kyle, you basically took over both duties, yeah?
Yeah, at least on this upcoming album. Yeah.
Yeah.
But live, I'm keyboards.
Yeah, but we actually started as a 5-piece. We had 2 guitar players.
Okay.
And then just going through drummers is just a really interesting experience.
You know what? With all the bands I've talked to, there's a lot of interesting turnover. Even with the lead singer. I mean, it's and I've had so many arguments with so many bands. It's just like, when you replace the singer, don't you think you should just come up with a new band name, because like the lead singer is the identity of the band, and then the rest of the band members look at me with like daggers and knives in their eyes, like, what do you mean, man? Like, we can replace our lead singer, no problem. It's all about I'm not even going to go there, because there's just too many bands that have changed too many pieces and had tremendous success no matter what they did, and I'm sure you guys are in line with that. But as far as your backstory, Nav, Kyle, your guys' backstory, you met when you were just kids in Hawaii. Now, how old were you at the time when you guys met for the very first time?
I was probably 9 months. And
yeah, like
he hit me a year.
Stop.
Yeah, babies.
Now, which island of Hawaii were you on? Do you remember?
Big Island.
Okay, you were on the Big Island. All right, because I just got back from Maui this past winter, and man, that was nice. You know, especially when I'm back here now, just south of Philadelphia, it's like cold. Even though today's particularly nice. Now, where are you guys? Where's your studio right there? Where are you at?
We're in the Valley. We're in Los Angeles,
Okay.
specifically like Woodland Hills area.
All right. So you guys could be out surfing right now if you wanted to. If you guys were into surfing.
Nice day here too.
Yeah, today is super warm. It's been cold out here. I mean, not what some would consider cold.
Yeah,
but you know,
California cold.
Rub that in my face. Rub that in my face. So, you know, we were talking in the beginning. I mean, it really is kismet because you guys met so early in your lives, you know, in the most remote of places. I don't think it gets any more remote out there than in the middle of the Pacific.
On a rock in the middle of the ocean.
Right? You know, and then you guys reunite, you know, years later. And not only do you reunite as people, but you both have the passion for music, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's that. How cool was that, not just to reunite, but to have the passion for music, and then, you know, you start talking, hey, man, why don't we just form a band, dude? You know, like, how cool was that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we kind of started on the band premises. You know, he worked at a music shop, and I went in there, and that's how we started talking, and it was like, oh, you should come play, and that was the first time we hung out.
Okay.
And then he told his mom, I hung out with this guy Navarone. She goes, oh, is Priscilla Presley his mom? And he goes, yeah. And that's how we figured it all out. She goes, oh, you guys met in Hawaii when you guys were one, blah, blah, blah. So,
okay. All right. Right on. Right on. Now, so, you know, leaping ahead here, you guys, at least the two of you, you know, you've been the foundation of them guns. You know, and I went back to listen to some of your earlier works, and you know, so I'm thinking of From the Shadows, and you had some great tracks off that. And the thing that kind of blows my mind, Nav, I mean, clearly, you know people, all right, you know, and Kyle, you probably know a lot of people too. You know, and it blows my mind because I know so many different musicians in the industry that have been doing it for a long, long time, and they haven't necessarily caught that break, if you want to call it that. You know, and I would talk to other friends of mine that have like all these connections in the music industry, and I'm just like, dude, why don't you use these connections to help propel you in this just doggy dog industry? I mean, any industry in the arts, whether you're an actor, actress, you know, musician, whatever it is so competitive and it's so hard to make it. And even if you have the talent, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get that chance, that you're going to get that break. But, and I've always told my children this, you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know, you know? So I've preached that. Now, you guys have gone against the grain as far as that goes, because if you wanted to, you know all the people. And the thing that blows my mind, and I'm being totally sincere when I say this, when I listen to your body of work as them guns, I'm just thinking to myself, holy crap. Like, how are you guys not burning it up? How are you guys not packing arenas? How are you guys not just opening, but having various openers for you? And I know you guys have played all over, you know, California, up and down the Sunset Strip, major venues that have made tons of bands. But I think it's fair to say, you know, if we're just being totally transparent, that you guys would seem like a band that's maybe in their infancy, even though you're not. Yeah?
Yeah, I would say so.
Agreed.
I mean, thing is that the connections that we have are connections that were kind of older, and the music industry changes so fast. So we've used, I mean, not necessarily overused the connections but for instance, we had Doug Goldstein was our manager from Guns N' Roses. So there was like there was a big break that we got really excited about. Things are going to take off for us. We have Doug Goldstein, and then it turns out that Doug Goldstein was able to do what he did in the 80s, but he doesn't have that anymore. You know, so we kind of are going from older people in the industry, and you need those people that are coming up, that are hungry for it, that are really going to get the job done.
Sure. Now I feel you. So with Acid Plane, your newest single, and I think, Kyle, maybe you kind of touched on this, but we didn't really go into it all that much. That's your single that's out right now. Is this part of a larger album that you guys are in the process of writing right now, or is it already done?
The album's done.
Yeah, it'll be out later this year at some point, but that's now the third single from that album. So we had Shot in the Dark,
Okay.
Dark Side are the first two, and now Acid Plane is the third single from that upcoming album.
Right on. Oh man. And okay, so let's dive into Acid Plane since that's what you're promoting right now. And again, everyone, we are here with Navarone and Kyle from Them Guns. And Acid Plane kicks ass. And I love the story because it's funny. This is another thing that I told my kids that someday daddy's going to get like a big like schooner, like a big huge ship, like a pirate ship, and I'm going to anchor a balloon to it, like a zeppelin, and kind of like the original movie. I don't know if you guys ever saw what the heck was it, the Mummy back in the day with Brendan Fraser, like the original,
Yeah.
and then what was it? I think it was or it was the last one with the Scorpion King that he did, and they had that ship with the balloon, and they're like flying above all the chaos, like that's just the way they rolled. And then there was another movie actually with Robert De Niro and Michelle Pfeiffer called Stardust, and it was the same type of thing where they had a big ship and they were airborne. But the point I'm trying to make is, so the story of Acid Plane is that you guys are in an airplane, and it's like a nuclear holocaust, and the only way that you even survive is because you're in that plane. And the only survivors of this nuclear holocaust is everyone that's in the air at the time. Yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. And that just totally reinforces what I'm talking about. It sounds far-fetched, and it's only been in Hollywood so far, and they can make up whatever the heck they want. But, I think I need to have a plane, just in case it all goes down. I want to make sure that we're airborne. And,
So I mean, so the way so we have this cataclysmic thing that happens occasionally is that I'll call him out of nowhere. Like sometimes it'll be like at 4 a.m, or sometimes it'll be right when I land from a plane, and I'll be like, "Dude, I just finished writing a song," and he'll say, "So did I." But I write lyrically, and he writes musically.
Right. Right.
So I'll say, "Oh, crazy! Well, I wonder if what I wrote will go together with what you wrote." And, and we were technically writing them at the same time, and so he said, "Let's try it out." And so he lands and he plays what he wrote, and I, sing my lyrics on top. And that's like the second time now that we've pretty much written the song coincidingly at the same time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
But
awesome.
so how that one came about is I was my wife is from Switzerland,
Okay.
and I was flying back from Switzerland, and you leave around like the flight there. There's only one flight from the airline, the Swiss Airlines. Always leaves at 1, lands at like 5 in LA. But so we leave at 1 Swiss time, and I was like, you know what? I'm by myself, and I'm right by the window. I got a comfortable seat. I'm gonna eat a couple hits of acid before this plane takes off. So I did, and as we're flying, the plane started catching up with nighttime because we're flying against time. So like it went from being daytime to going into like back into nighttime, and the colors of the sky were like going back into sunset colors and then normal colors, and then we go over Iceland where the aurora borealis is happening, and all of a sudden the sky turns like green and like crazy blue, and like I had to turn to the person behind me, even though I know I'm tripping and they're not, but I had to be like, "You seeing this? Like, what's happening?"
Are you sure that's the aurora borealis, man? Oh.
Yeah, and she was like, "This is insane." But so I was like, "Okay, it's not just me."
That sky could be looking amazing in the dullest of places, It just depends. I will say, Acid Plane sounds a lot cooler than Mushroom Plane.
Yeah.
I might be able to relate to something like Mushroom Plane. Now, I gotta be careful because I might have family members watching this, and I don't want to divulge too much. They'll be like, "Oh, that's why your college career was cut so short." Yeah. So,
shiitake mushrooms.
Oh man, dude, that's awesome though. Oh, I've never been out there. But again, Iceland, you seeing the aurora borealis, that is definitely all on my bucket list. And one thing as much as I love this song, and I'm going back and then I'm watching some of your other official music videos, and clearly all you guys are not shy of the camera, and you guys are, definitely made, from more of a theatrical standpoint. I mean, you've got that presence about you, without a doubt, because not all bands do. I've talked to some guys, and I've asked them how they feel about official music videos, and they hate them. It's like, they do it because it's a necessary. I'm not even going to call them out, but like some really, 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 really career, well-established bands. And they just hate them, but they do them because they have to. But it seems like you genuinely like it, and I found myself thinking, man, Acid Plane could be like a really awesome official music video. And what you have out there right now is clearly lyrical, but
we just filmed the video for it this weekend, actually.
Yeah, so that'll be coming in a few weeks.
Yeah.
All right then. All right. So we're mind melding right now. I love this.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It was supposed to come out coincidingly with the single, but some family things happened and we couldn't film it. So.
Right on. Now, it's crazy because, again, looking at your careers, Them Guns, and again, everybody, we're here with Kyle and Navarone from Them Guns, and make sure you go check it out. We're going to have all the links right here so you can go check out, their newest single that's out, Acid Plane, as well as some of their previous works, because they're all just absolute kick ass. But where the heck was I going? Just hitting bumps in the road, of your career. Right when you guys are getting hot, I would think you guys are getting hot, 2020 comes upon us. And we have this huge pandemic, yeah, I know. And so many, it's only gonna be 2 weeks. 2 weeks! Don't worry. Shelter in place. Everything's gonna go back to normal. And for me, doing this work, and being on the media side, getting to speak with musicians like yourself, and I'm just thinking to myself, my God, these guys rely on the ability to tour, to be performing live. One, it's in their life's blood. I mean, clearly they want to be out there. They want to be in front of their live audience in the first place. They want to be playing in front of their fans, but secondly, that's what pays the bills, if you are on that career musician path, which I believe you guys are. How much did it suck? Like, what were some of the feelings that went through your mind when, you start having tours lined up, having gigs lined up at various venues, and they're like, sorry, I got to cancel. Like, how frustrating was that for you guys?
I mean, we had a tour planned, like,
that was gonna be our big. That was gonna be like our thing.
Yeah, and South by Southwest. So I mean,
we were gonna play with one of them. Like, I really like the. Do you know Birthday Massacre?
I don't, but I do now.
Okay, it was gonna be Birthday Massacre and Julian K, which is Nick from Orgy.
Ryan Shuck.
Ryan Shuck from Orgy's new band. And we were gonna tour with them. We had that lined up, and.
It was like within a few weeks, everything shut down, as everyone knows. But I think all we could do is adapt, so it's like, okay, we're not touring. Let's work on this album. Let's at least come out of things like with an album and kind of ready to go. It's about all I think anyone could do in that time. Like, we weren't really digging any of like the live concert from home stuff, like that was kind of brought up. But it's like on stage in front of a crowd, or like, let's just record, is what it came down to.
Right on. Well, that makes sense. I mean, when life gives you lemons, you make limoncello. Exactly. So, I mean, it's what you got to do. Now, one of the things I'm interested in, so for the rest of this new album that is going to accompany Acid Plane, Navarone, I know that you are into reptiles, and you've got quite a few. Is there any chance that any of these family members of yours are going to be making appearances in any official music videos that you have coming up to accompany Acid Pain that you guys already have in the queue?
I don't. We've filmed some with them before, and it kind of just they're not the easiest to get to do what you want in the music video, and it kind of just became like a do I really have to bring my snakes again to every shoot? So I don't think so.
No? All right. Now, Kyle, how do you feel about reptiles?
I mean, I've come around a little bit more just because I'm exposed to them now that I go over to his house. I mean, there was a time a few years ago I was sitting at his dining room table and I was getting ready to get up. He's like, "Don't get up." I'm like, "Why?" It's like, "There's a snake on you." And I looked down. There's a snake like crawling across my lap. I didn't even feel it, but it's like this 15-foot long like constrictor.
Oh, man.
And he had it out like on the floor just cruising around. So I guess, just I'm a little bit more comfortable around him now. It's not my favorite
Oh,
animal,
man.
but
Now, I wanted to have a good friend of mine, my press photographer, Ambler, on the show with me just because she is she's the Dr. Doolittle of like the animal and reptilian world. She loves all kinds of life that aren't humans. I think she loves non-humans more than humans. I don't think she would refute that even in the slightest bit. And because I told her I was going to be talking to you, and she's like, "Oh, well, just see how far his passion goes, see how much he truly loves these creatures." Because like for her, she'll be driving down the road and she'll see a snake in the middle of the road where she is down in Virginia, and she will stop traffic. She will stop traffic and get out of the car, and she will take the snake and take it out of harm's way, like whatever it may be. She will help animals and reptiles and everything. Like if they're in harm's way, she is there to be their champion. Have you ever been
Hmm.
in that position, Nav? Have you ever, put yourself in a position where, you're helping like a wild animal that is in the same as, what you're so passionate about?
I mean, I would say in a different way.
Yeah.
I like to advocate because I mean, there's a lot of reptile keepers that I would say kind of don't really keep their animals in the best conditions. Like
Mm,
really
mm.
small kind of cages and stuff. So I kind of like to advocate. Like I have an enclosure that I built that's outdoors that gives like my because I do have a large snake. So, but you don't want to keep a 15-foot snake in a 6-foot cage.
Sure.
Which a lot of people do.
Oh,
Um,
that's not right.
so yeah, so I have a huge thing outside that they can go pretty much live in, and I try to advocate for that kind of reptile keeping. Um,
That's awesome. That's
I did
awesome.
I did recently go to a sanctuary where I had an incident with a camel.
Did you
I
say
don't know.
camel?
Yeah, with a camel. Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. That's insane that you brought that up, Nav, just because Ambler shared a video with me earlier today where apparently, like, I don't know if it was this week or within the last couple of weeks. I think this was out in Russia. Did you guys see this in the news? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm about to talk about?
yep.
This dude beat this camel, and the camel said, "Uh-huh, you mess with the wrong hump, dude."
Get his head off.
It stomped him like to
Wow.
to to death. It stomped him to
Dude,
death.
so dude, this thing tried to kill me. So
Really?
yeah, I went to a sanctuary and there there's these two camels that just came in from a circus or something, and had been abused, and they'd only been there for a week or so, and my friend said, "Hey, let's go get in with those camels." And I was sure. I wasn't afraid of them. So we get in there. We're feeding them, and the thing took me by the hand, and I fed him. I ran out of food, and I
Well, that's
wasn't
what it
very happy.
was. That's what it
Yeah, so
was. You were teasing.
it grabbed me by the hand, and it actually lifted me up off the ground by my hand, and then it threw me on the ground, and then it actually pounced on me and got on top of me, like 2,000 pounds, and this thing is on top of me, And while it was on top of me, it put my entire head in its mouth and it bit me. And I actually got 34 staples in my head.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
All right, well, Ambler, hey, I brought it up just like you want it, and Nav had a very, very different experience. I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to leave it there. But speaking of experiences, because I know time is running short here, so, as we are promoting Acid Plane, what's next for you guys? So this is out. Everyone can digest it right now. It's out there for everyone's listening pleasure. Full-length album we talked about coming out later in 2023. Is there anything else immediately in the queue? Are you guys actively touring right now, since you guys can tour again?
Well, recently we just became good friends with Bam Margera, and
baby,
he's a good guy.
He lives right down the street from me, man.
Exactly. So he offered us a Castle Bam.
Dude. Okay, Nav, if you come out to Castle Bam, we have each other's contact information now. You got to hit me up, and we'll connect because he literally, Castle Bam is right down the street, and I mean, like, I'm not just saying that, like, like within miles, a few miles of where I lived my entire life. And in early days of Rock Titan, we would go to this place called The Note in Westchester, where like Jackass and all, it did a lot of stuff down there. And I actually have an interview sitting out there with Bam. I'll send it to you guys if you care. But man, it was
I'd see it,
dude. It's. I'm glad he's still with us. I'll just leave it there. I'm glad he's still with us. I'm glad that he's addressed a lot of his issues. Because I've actually talked to his parents too, and his parents are some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. It's just like, how do you have Bam? But but see, they're the nicest people in the world. So you guys are going to be, you guys will be syncing up, yeah?
So, and then also his brother Jess from CKY. He got along. So they're doing a tour. He said we could probably tour with them. So we're hopefully going to tour with CKY.
CKY and them guns would be awesome.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, guys, I know you guys got to get going, but oh man, I am looking so forward to catching up with you. And it's funny, man. It's a small world. It's a small world that we run into. But again, everybody, I'm Scotty J. You are watching Rock Titan, and if you've enjoyed this conversation with them guns, that being Navarone and Kyle, give some love. Give them some love. We're going to have all the links to all their work right here, and make sure you go check them out. We'll be posting all their news and some reviews and stuff like that. And it's been awesome. Nav, Kyle, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Thank you,
Scotty.
All right, too, Scotty J, we're out.
Peace.
Thanks again for watching. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also catch us at www.rocktitan.tv.